guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. It's time for my July Wheel of TBR as well as my Reading Rush TBR. So stay tuned. So some of you may have already seen that I posted my Summertime Reads Readathon TBR, which is going to take up the entire month of July. So I'm really going to try to fit the books that I picked for those challenges to fit things in the wheel. But if they don't, then it's just more books I'm going to have to read in July. But I've also decided I'm going to try and participate in the Reading Rush as well, which is like the 20th through the 26th of July, and I've written down, I've written down my list, or the list of challenges for the Reading Rush, so I can kind of pick my books in this TBR as well. So after I've finished with the wheel, I'll tell you what books I've decided to read for each of those challenges. So let me start out with going over how I did last month, where I'm at this point. There's still a few days. We got 4 days left in the month when I'm filming this. So here are the 15 books that I needed to read in June. Okay, to start off, the first 4 books here, Spin the Dawn, Tiger Lily, Macbeth, and Divergent, were books that I was supposed to read in May and didn't, so I had to put them into June's TBR. And I can say that I've read 3.5 of them. So I read Spin the Dawn. I'm currently reading Tiger Lily, and I'm like, well, maybe not halfway, I'm like a third of the way through with it. So still working on that one. I've read Macbeth, and I've read Divergent. Okay, so then there were the 10 spins from the wheel. So the first spin gave me Number in the Title, and for that I read A Tale of Two Cities. I did read that. And then Goodreads said for me to read Drink, Slay, Love. And I'm counting this as I read it, but I DNF'd it. I didn't like it. For new author, I was supposed to read Amal Unbound. I have not read this one yet. For my Once Upon a Book Club box, I was to read House Witch, and I did read that. For my big book, I picked Allegiant, and I was dumb because this is the 3rd book and not the 2nd book in the Divergent series. So not only did I end up reading Allegiant, and I didn't just switch to Insurgent, I read Allegiant, but first I had to read Insurgent. So I read both of these. For Blurbed, I had to read Eleanor and Park, and I did read this. For the book outlet choice, I had to read Runaway, and I did read this. For short read, I was supposed to read Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons, graphic novel. I have not read this yet. For the Instagram poll, I was supposed to read Foolish Hearts, and I did read that. And then for fantasy, I was supposed to read Damsel. I read that. Also, when I filmed my June TBR, I hadn't completed the Diabolic, but I did complete it by the end of May. So I didn't show that just now. Okay, so I did pretty good. I've got these 2 and the rest of Tiger Lily to finish. I believe I can get this and probably this finished during this month, and I'll try to get them all Unbound done this month, but if not, this will go on to my July TBR, which is gonna be big. Okay, next, these are the books that I need to try to fit in for challenges if possible, because these are all the books that I'm planning on reading for the Summertime Reads Readathon. So yeah, that's already 12 books. So I'm just going to set all of these here, and hopefully I'll be able to find challenges that will work for them. Alright, so something that I changed up last month, you may see some of the markings here, is Each time I land on a space, I'm going to mark it with this dry erase marker. Once a spot has 5 marks on it, that means I have to do an extra spin for that month. Right now, the only one that has 2 marks on it is this one. The rest either have 0 or 1 mark. And I'm going to continue that this month as well. So without further ado, let's get to spinning. First spin. Readathon. So that's really handy. For that one, it's going to be just pick any book for a readathon. Okay, so for that one, I'm going to pick Heir of Fire, which is book 3 in the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm picking this because, well, some of my books, they can complete multiple challenges, but some of them I have to read anyway because I'm doing buddy reads. And this is one that I will be doing a buddy read of. We're going through the whole Throne of Glass series. And yeah, so in July we'll be reading this one. And this is also counting as, I think, big book for some people's Summertime Reads challenge. So that is what I will be reading for Readathon. Now we will mark that. And we'll replace Readathon with Reread. So if that comes up, I just pick a book that I've already read before. And there's only 1 book in here that I've read before. So I know which book I'll pick for that. Alright, next spin. Oh no! I was really hoping this would not come up this month. Oh. It's Marty pick. Let me just cut to that video. So I have Marty here to pick a book for me. So he has a couple of guidelines. He can pick any book on any shelf. He could pick any book that's on top of any shelf. He could also pick one of the Once Upon a Book Club boxes if he wants. There's a couple of stacks of books piled on the floors. He can pick any of those. The only stack that he cannot pick from are the books that I just finished reading. And if he picks anything that's in a series, I'll just read the first book in that series that I haven't read yet. Alright, Marty, go ahead. Oh my god. Really? You're awful. He is just, oh. I have to read this. Oh gosh, he just knocked stuff over. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Marty.
You're welcome.
Marty, he did me dirty. I was really hoping that this wouldn't come up this month, just because this is such a big book and I've already got so many big books. Oh my goodness. And the writing, oh my gosh, y'all, is tiny. Okay, so this is Anna Karenina. It's a classic. I've never read it before, but I purchased it because I have a modern day retelling and I wanted to read that, but I thought I should read the original first, not realizing how big the original is. Hopefully I can find an audiobook for this to manage to fit it in with everything else. But I know there's passion, adultery, corrupt Russian Borghese, all kinds of stuff. I hope it's good. So this is what I'm reading for Marty Pick. Take that off. Mark it. And we're going to replace that with adaptation. So a book that's been turned into a movie, which would work really well with one of the Reading Rush challenges, because one of their challenges is to read a book that you've already watched the movie that was inspired by the book. So, yeah. All right, next spin. Blind. Okay, so I'm going to close my eyes and I'm just going to randomly pick a book. I was really trying to make sure I picked on the right shelf where all those are sitting. So for that, I will be reading Rage and Ruin by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the sequel to, oh, where is it? Storm and Fury, which is about a girl who can talk to ghosts and all of that. And these shape-shifting wardens, they're like gargoyles, but they have like a human form and they protect the world from demons, and it's really, really good. And I pre-ordered this because I really am super excited to read it. So that is what I will be reading for Blind. We'll mark that. And replace it with non-fiction. Okay, I don't have any non-fiction here. So if that comes up, I'll just have to pick a non-fiction. I do have a few, not a whole lot, but I do have a few on my shelves. So next spin. Out of comfort zone. Okay, well, out of comfort zone is really just anything that is not something that I normally gravitate towards. Things that would fall out of my comfort zone would be like historical fiction or non-fiction, sci-fi. I don't read a lot of sci-fi. Things like that. Oh, also, there's one other book here that I have to read for my summertime reads, but it doesn't come out until like the middle of July, and that's The Fellow Dark by Caleb Rorig, which is like a vampire kind of book. Anyway, just forgot to mention that before. Okay, this may take me a minute. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be right back. Okay, so another thing that's like out of my comfort zone typically is classics. So I have a classic that's kind of on the short side, so I was trying to find probably the shortest book I could for this challenge. So I'm reading The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and this is only like 179 pages, so hopefully it won't be too hard to squeeze this in with everything else. Okay, so we're gonna take off out of comfort zone, mark that, and replace it with pet pick. So if this comes up, then I will select a couple of books and have my pets choose. That'll have to be something I film after the fact because I haven't already pre-filmed it. So, all right, next spin. Arc. Okay, I have a lot of arcs that I need to read. Do I have any on here? No, none of those are arcs. I guess it also could be an arc that I already own, that the book's already come out. Let me see what I got. I found the perfect one because I know this will also work for a challenge for the Reading Rush, and it's short. We have The Giver, a graphic novel. It's an arc, but it came out in April of 2019. But yes, it's an arc of the graphic novel of The Giver, which will work for a movie adaptation kind of thing for the reading rush or for the challenge that starts with the word the. So that's what I will be reading for that one. Okay, so take off arc. That's the first time that one's been spun. All right, we're gonna replace it with roll the dice. And for that I have, where are my rolls? So for that I have 3 different dice. I have this one here that goes up to 12. And so that'll tell which of the 12 bookshelves that I pick from. And then I have this one that goes up to 6, so it'll tell which shelf on that bookshelf. And then I have this one which goes up to I think 30, so that'll determine which book on the shelf. So that's what I'll do if roll the dice comes up. Okay, next spin. TBR jar. How much you want to bet none of those books are going to be in here? I really don't think they are. So this is my TBR jar. I have a ton of different books written down on little scraps of paper here. So I'm just going to pick one of these. Oh gosh. Okay. And the book that, this is actually one I looked at for my out of comfort zone, but it's a lot bigger. We have Little Women by Louise May Alcott. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's super thick. Like it doesn't seem like it's really long, but then you look at how tiny the text is, and yeah, it's long. This is going to be like the month where I read a lot of classics, and I wasn't planning on reading any. Okay, so we'll take off TBR jar, mark it, and we're going to replace that with standalone. So that's easy. Any book that's a standalone, it's not part of a series, which several of these will work for that as well. So let's see how many we've got. So far 6, so we have 4 more spins to go. Next up, romance. There's got to be a romance. Yes. Dragonfly in Amber by Diana Gabaldon. This is like a historical romance. It's set in like 1746, I believe, and it's like in the Scottish Highlands, and yes, there is a romance. So I'll be reading that one. I'm really excited to read that one, even though it's insanely long as well. So let's mark that, and we'll replace romance with face. So a book with a face on the cover. Okay, I do have some. Cool. All right, next spin. Okay. Graveyard is a book that I decided to unhaul, either because it was given to me and it didn't seem like something I was all that interested in, or it was an arc that I ended up getting and lost interest in, or a book that I started to read and then DNF'd because I didn't like it for whatever reason. Okay, so this is a book that I read quite a bit of it. I still have a little business card in here. I got to page 124, so a little over a third of the way through, and then I DNF'd it. It's been sitting on my little Goodreads, like currently reading, for months and months and months, but I wasn't a fan of the writing style, so I just kind of left it. And this is a like Snow White retelling, but instead of like dwarves, the family, they're vampires. It's weird. They're like mafia vampires. Yeah. So this is what I'm reading. Mark that one. That's the first one to get 3 marks on it. These right here, I have to check the balance because these don't have any marks at all. Okay, we're replacing that with RB Digital. And, sorry, my dogs are barking. RB Digital is one of the apps that my library uses. And let me see, where's my phone? That was actually how I ended up reading Outlander to begin with. It was on one of the recommended things from RB Digital, and my friend had been recommending it, so when that came up I decided to go with that. Okay, so when I first go on RB Digital, here are like the most popular in Chattanooga, though I can also see just most popular. There's a lot of Diana Gabaldon, but yeah, these are the most popular on RB Digital. So I just go and pick one of those if that comes up. Okay, 2 more spins. Ugly cover. Any of these have an ugly cover? Oh, I think this one's kind of an ugly cover. That's Two-Way Street by Lauren Barnholt. It's, I don't know, to me it's rather a plain cover. But this is one I'll be reading for Summertime Reads. So I can fit it for that. So we're going to replace ugly cover. Let me mark that. And we'll replace it with one word title. All right, this is the last spin. And that is RB Digital. And Xander's gonna be really upset that Xander's pick didn't come up. It's on one of these that have yet to get hit. Xander is dying for me to read the book that he picked. Okay, let's look at RB Digital and see what I shall select. Okay, so one of the books in the most popular in Chattanooga is a book called Chocolate Chip Cookie Murder by Joanne Fluke. And this is a mystery, women's fiction, suspense thriller. One chilly morning on her way to the cookie jar, Hannah discovers Ron, the dairy delivery man, shot dead in his truck. When she begins to investigate, she suspects the dairy owner, but when he too is murdered, Hannah must look further afield for the culprit. Anyway, that's the book that I'll be reading. Hopefully it's not a really long audiobook, because I got my hands full. That'll probably be the first thing I read in a month, just because I'm afraid I'll forget about it if I don't. Okay, we'll mark that. That one is the first one to get 4 on it. Everything else has like 0. These are all 0, and that's 0. This one has 1, this one has 1, and the rest have 2. Alright, so we will replace RB Digital with Different Country. Now see, that one totally would have worked for both readathons, because both of them have a challenge with reading a book in a different country. Future editing me here, I have to interrupt this video because when I filmed it, I totally forgot to actually tell you what my TBR is for the reading rush. So I have all the challenges written down here, and I'm going to go over what I'm reading for each challenge real quick. So the first challenge was to read a book with the cover is the color of your birthstone, and my birthstone is emerald. So for that challenge, I'm gonna read Dragonfly in Amber by Diana Gabaldon. For challenge 2, a book that starts with V, I'm going to read The Giver by Lois Lowry, graphic novel. And for challenge number 3, a book that's inspired by a movie I've already seen, The Giver. Challenge number 4 is The First Book You Touch, which I will do that one, pick that in a second. Challenge number 5 is Read Completely Outside. I will do The Giver for that one. Genre you want to read more of. I'm picking Death Prefers Blondes because this is such a fun action mystery type book and I want to read more like this. And a book set in a different country, Dragonfly in Amber, because this is set in Scotland. So these are the 3 books that I need to read for those challenges in the reading rush. But for the challenge First Book You Touch, what I'm going to do is I have 5 other books that I intend on reading in the month of July, and I'm going to mix in with these, and then I'm going to close my eyes and just touch one. So let's put Nameless, A Tale of Beauty and Madness. We'll put that there. And then we'll do Death Prefers Blondes. And then we'll do When the Sky Goes Dark by Oliver C. Seneca. This is not one I showed in the video, but this was sent to me by the author and I want to read it this month. And then Hanging by a Thread by Sophie Littlefield. And then we'll set The Giver and The Great Gatsby and Back to the Future, Tales from the Time Train. So let me make it so they all stick out just as far. All right, there, all the fronts are even. All right, now I'm just gonna close my eyes and reach back and touch one, and whichever that one is the one that I will do for that challenge. So here we go. Hanging by a Thread. All right. So these are the 4 books that I'll be reading for the reading rush. Back to the Wheel of TBR. But yeah, I'm gonna mess around with this a little bit and see if I can figure out why this side doesn't seem to be coming up at all. So these are all of the books that I need to read in July. Actually, this plus the RB Digital one and The Fell of Dark by Caleb Roig. And I have one other book that was sent to me by an author that I'd like to try to squeeze in as well. I don't know if it's gonna work or not, but we'll see. Wish me luck. So have you guys read any of these books? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you.